Okay, perfect. Well, now let's start. We have like 17 minutes of setup, but I think that it's related to the resolution of the Mac, of the screen, and well, some setups of the video that were better. So well, let's start again. The idea of today, as I mentioned, well, I was talking like for 10 minutes, but I wasn't live. So thanks, Mike, that he told me that I wasn't live. The idea is that we are going to review, because the past stream we have a big issue with the Wi-Fi, so it wasn't working. The voice, the video was all very bad. So today we're going to check Quants Lab. We're going to review the strategy that Smugblog proposed. These are the steps that we usually do when we try to create a strategy with Hummingbot. The first step is always design the strategy idea. This would be like saying, okay, I think that this indicator or this signal or this tweet or this whatever will be beneficial to take a long position if this happens, or take a short position if this happens. So that's the first part of the design. The design we already presented last week is the one that Smugblog generated for his strategy. He's mixing up a few things, like I have here the file. He mixes up moving average, EMAs, ATRs, MACD. These are like the values that he's presenting for his strategy. And what we did was we analyzed all this logic. We put it first on Binance, and then we translate that into a Jupyter notebook. So the idea for today will be reviewing what Smugblog presented, see if we can add all the indicators that we already did it, but add all the things on top of the graph. We can probably use this. Let me populate this graph with the idea of him. So it's like MACD. We are only missing the MACD, I think, here. So here will be just adding. This will be MACD. No, this only. This is not, and an ATR that we are not going to be able to see it properly here, but because it's like, yeah, it's not like here, and the MACD values are 22, 36, and 17. 22, 36, and 17, I think that was. Okay, so this is the default config that, oh fuck, wait, okay, so this is the default config that Smugblog presented for his strategy. So just to recap the strategy a little bit, what he is saying is, let me go here. We can hide the volume. I will remove it because he's not using the volume. So he's just using the MACD and the EMAs. So what he's saying is, let's analyze the long. So if we analyze the long, the short will be the opposite. So it's easy to understand. So what we're going to analyze for a long is that the short EMA is bigger than the medium EMA, and the medium EMA is bigger than the long EMA, and the close is bigger than the short EMA. So this is purely like a trend condition, like just checking 3 EMAs and the close price, and making sure that the fastest period are always above the more longer periods. So in this case, the strategy will say short, but let me change the colors so we can see the EMA, the fast EMA with yellow, the medium EMA with orange, and this one with, I don't know, this color. No, it mixes up with the, let's put it blue. Yeah, let's stick with blue. So okay, this is the config that he has, that basically says, okay, this is perfect for a short. This will say that part will say short because the close price is below the fast EMA. The fast EMA is below the medium EMA, and the medium EMA is below the long EMA. So this condition, the first part of the condition here will say short is exactly this. Short EMA lower than the medium, medium lower than long, and close lower than short. The other thing that he's looking at is that the close price is lower than or here is higher than the previous close minus the ATR multiplier times the ATR. So what he's saying is that, let's say that the ATR multiplier is 1. For the people that does not know what is the ATR or this value, see that here is 0.057. If we check this, 0.057. See that this value 0.057 is the same value that we are seeing here. That is the ATR that is using 14 periods. So basically, what is that value saying is that the average size of the candle is the measurement is 0.057 in price. If we use the NATR, it's the same but in percentage. It's just the same value but divided by the close. So what he's saying is that to take the position, also the price has to be lower than the previous close. The close price has to be higher than the previous close minus the ATR multiplier times the ATR. So this is this condition. It's a little bit tricky to understand, but in the notebook I draw those lines. So basically, if we said that is 0.07, the guardrail will be somewhere here. If this is the previous close, so the guardrail will be somewhere here. So this is where, will be somewhere here. Like this will be like the ATR that will be the previous close, that is this one, minus the NATR multiplier times ATR. If we say that is the ATR multiplier is the ATR multiplier is 1, will be just 1 ATR down here. So that is the signal, just to make a quick recap of what he's doing. And also he's also saying that the MACD has to be bigger than the MACD signal, and the MACD histogram has to be positive. So if we go back here, we will see that the MACD, and this is the condition that I asked to the audience to validate, because I think that the two conditions are redundant. It's like, I think that saying that the MACD is bigger than the MACD signal is the same as saying that the MACD histogram is positive. So if someone from the audience can confirm that, maybe Drupman, that is always eager to have data challenges, I think that is the same, exactly the same concept. So I remove that. But well, that will be like the condition to take the signal, right? I will put just here the things to visualize it in the graph. And the config is using 1 hours, 10 of leverage, max executors per side, and so. So, well, that is exactly how this strategy works. So, going to the notebook, if we go here, under Quants Lab, for the ones that don't know about this repo, you can find the repo here. Actually, we were looking at this PR when I thought that I was live. I was reviewing this PR with you guys, but seems like I wasn't live. And this guy S1KORRR, I don't know who is, but it's I remember to see this guy on Discord. I think that he has a picture of a bull on Discord in the community, but I don't know who he is. That guy created this PR. So he's just adding this client field data. That is okay. This part is okay. And he's well, the notebooks, I cannot see the notebooks directly here because GitHub is not in that. And this generation can be right. So this is very good. Thank you very much for the contribution. S1KORRR 4 hours. So we are going to take this and continue from this, because the last live stream I asked for someone to continue and put that stuff. So well, perfect. So well, going through the notebooks here in this repo, I was showing the repo. The repo is this one. It's very new, so we are happy to have contributions here. This is a repo from Hummingbot. It's not official yet because it will not be under the release processes. As you know, Hummingbot is a community and open source project. The only developer that works on Hummingbot internally is me, and then we have community developers. So it's like a project maintained by the community, and we already are maintaining Hummingbot, dashboard, backend API, deploy, gateway. Mike now is working on LARP, that is like a replacement of gateway. So we cannot make all the repos as professional as we want due to the resources. Hopefully, if the community takes over some of the projects, we will be able to make more and more. But for now, these projects are not going to be part of the official release, just more like unstructured projects where anyone can contribute. Like all the projects anyone can contribute, but in Hummingbot, for example, we have test requirements because that is our repo. Hummingbot is official repo that we are always going to be very strict on the contributions because it's widely used for a lot of people. It's trading a lot of money around the world, so we cannot introduce breaking changes that can make bad things for people that is running Hummingbot. So we are much more strict on Hummingbot, but on the other repos we are very open to any type of contribution without test requirements. Like we are more open, like this repo. This repo does not have tests. You can just, it's more like a research notebook for now. But well, if it takes over and goes much more better, probably will be part of the release, hopefully. But well, for now it's very experimental. Well, you can clone the repo, you can follow the instructions here, install the repo, whatever, and start playing with it. So going to Smug Plug, the one that we were looking at, the first notebook is this strategy design that basically we're going to go through it right now. Let me. Probably I will move to cursor because the notebooks on PyCharm are awful. So yeah, let me move to cursor for this. I don't know if it's. I will close this LM stuff. Yeah. here now we're the same repo but in cursor, or you can use VS Code. The notebooks are much more better here. Okay, perfect. So the first line here is just something that we need to run in order to make the path of the root path of the project something that we can recognize in the notebook. Mainly because if you don't use design, the rest of the modules are not going to be recognized. So just don't worry about design, just run it and it's going to work. Then we have this line that initializes this club, that is a class that will work like as a gateway to access all the centralized exchanges that we have in Hummingbot. With this class, we are going to be able to access candles, trades, order book, trading rules, a bunch of different things. So this is really handy to get data. Then this design, let's use WorldCoin because I would like to use WorldCoin. We can get the candles of all these of 30 days in one hour. This is just defining the I'm going to, let me zoom in a little bit so you can see better the lines. So this line here, we are just defining the parameters. We are saying that we would like to get from Binance Perpetual WorldCoin USDT in the time frame 1 hour, the last 30 days. And as you can see here, we are using the club, and this method that says get candles last days, let us download the candles from those last days. So as you can see, it only took like 0.7 seconds. It's very fast. And well, we get this. Well, what I was mentioning last week is that these candles is not just a data frame, it's a candles object. If we put here type of candles, you will see it says core data structures candles. So if you want, you can go to this folder and see all the implementations that this candle has. But basically, in here we can see candles.data. We can get the data frame with all the data of the candles. And if we, well, this is just a data frame, but we also have this beautiful thing that is using the method candles.plot type candles gives us this beautiful graph with all the candles that we need. You can also resize it. You can put height and width. Let's put, I don't know, 800 and 400, and it's going to be smaller. So, well, the good thing about this is that I saw that a lot of the things like plotting a candle was something very natural to do. So having a base object that we can just call the method plot and have the candlestick is very convenient. So that is why we have this type of method. Also, if you instead of type, you put type returns, you get the histogram with the returns of the market. So, well, it's really convenient to imagine that you can instead of getting just one candle from WorldCoin, you can get all the candles from all the exchanges. There are some examples in the notebooks where we are getting like all the candles that are available. So in that case, you will probably want to plot all the returns, plot all the candles. I don't know, if you're doing statistical arbitrage, also plot one candle on top of the other one. There are a lot of things that you can do. And the idea of this repo is that all those things that you are doing, we can make it easier for you to do the research. So here we plot the candles. And then what we are defining here is the configuration. We define the EMAs, we define the MACD, the ATR, and what we are doing here is, first of all, getting the data frame. As you know, candles.data gives me the data frame. And then we are using pandas TA to append all the indicators to these candles. So at first we are adding the MACD, ATR, AMA, EMA with different lengths, and append equal true in all these calls will append the columns to the data frame at the end. And here I am adding two things, that is long ATR support and short ATR resistant. Basically, if you remember the logic that was written here, this part that says candles close bigger than this term, what I did was I applied this term, I computed this term here. See, that is candles close shift times the ATR times the multiplier plus, sorry. So well, that is why we have this thing. So if we run this cell, you will see that if I call candles df.tail5, shows me the last 5 records of the data frame. And wait, that I'm going to, oops. I'm trying to zoom out because, okay, here I'm zooming out. So here you can see that the candles that before we plotted, we only have like up to taker by volume. Now here we have open, high, low, close, well, all these things up to here. And at the end we have the MACD, the MACD histogram, the MACD signal, the ATR, the EMAs, and the long ATR support and short ATR resistant. Okay, and I'm looking at the chat, so if there is any question, just let me know. But basically, in this step, we add all the indicators that we are going to use to later on compute the signal. And in the next cell, that is this one, what we are doing is we are creating a subplot that here we are saying we are going to create a graph that will have two figures. In the first one, we're going to put the candlesticks and we're going to put the EMAs as we have here in Binance. So our goal will be to reproduce what we are seeing here in Binance. So here in Binance, we're seeing the 3 EMAs. We are not seeing this line that will be the ATR support, but we are going to add it in our implementation. And we are also seeing the MACD histogram. And this ATR, we are not going to plot it. Instead, we are going to put these guardrails that we would like to have for all the observations. So the first part here, I'm going to zoom back again. The first part here is to define this range of subplots, to have the 2 plots. Then adding the candlesticks here in the first row and first column. Then we are going to add the traces for the EMAs, fast, medium, and slow EMA, fig, add trace, and go scatter. This is all like Plotly code. Then we are adding the MACD, but see that the difference is that the MACD is added in the the MACD is added in the row 2. So see that everything is in row 1, column 1, row 1, column 1, but the MACD is in the row 2. That means that we're going to put the MACD in the second in the second figure that we have in the graph. And then what we are adding here is the long ATR support and short ATR support. So once we run this cell, the output is this graph that we are seeing here. That, well, the MACD is beautiful. As you can see, we can see the MACD and the MACD signal, the histogram. And what we're seeing here in this graph is, first of all, the candles. That is a basic thing that we are doing. And then we are seeing in blue the slow EMA, in yellow the medium EMA, and in green the fast EMA. And then these lines, the red and the green line, are these ATR supports that here in Binance, unfortunately, we cannot see it because it's like doing the calculation of the ATR and doing this. Okay, from here will be something like this value. We cannot do this in Binance, but here, as you can see, we can do it for each of the steps that we are. So if we check when we get the candles, seems like was up to the previous hour. That probably the candle at that moment was here when we were looking at the graph, but well, now seems like it's in the opposite side, but the price is very similar as the one that we were looking at. Well, that's all from the graph perspective. Any questions about this? No? Okay. Well, the next thing will be generating the signal. In order to generate the signal, we need to, first of all, well, this can be also like here. So we get the values that we need to use to compute the signal. So we get the MACD histogram, we get the short, medium, and long EMAs, the close price, and then we compose the long condition and short condition. So long condition, as we mentioned, short EMA bigger than medium EMA, medium EMA bigger than long EMA, close bigger than short EMA, and close bigger than their long ATR support, and MACD bigger than MACD histogram bigger than 0. So this is like the long condition, and the short condition is exactly the opposite. So once we get these conditions, these are just comparing series of pandas. We can say the long signal will be this one. So when this condition is met, put the signal as 1. The short condition will be this one, so -1. And once we run this, now we can improve our previous plot, but also, as you can see, we are adding a third row, and in the third row we are going to put the signal that we just computed. So this is the final output where we can see the long signals. This will be 1, the long, and this will be the short signals. So, well, seems like in this range is capturing a lot of very good short signals. Here is capturing long signals. So seems like it has a point, the strategy. But well, we need to really validate that works well. Well, this is like the first notebook that we should always play with. It's like how to design a strategy, how to add indicators. Then what you will need to do is to change a few indicators, see what makes sense, what not, and continue playing around with that. So this is the first notebook. Now we can go to the second notebook, that is a single controller backtest. So here, let me run this. Let me compress this. Let me know in the chat if you have any questions. But yeah, now what we're going to do is to run the backtesting. And then, well, one of the questions from Smack Plug was, how can I run this in all the markets that are available to see in what market this strategy fits better? So that's another thing that we're probably going to do today. So it will be something funny, but yeah, it's not complicated. It's very easy with Hummingbot, but yeah, let's do it. So the first is, well, the first line, you always need to run it. Then we're going to initialize the backtesting engine, that with this load cache data false will always go and search the data over the via REST to get the historical candles. Then we define the control configuration. Sorry, I forgot to mention. Up to this point, right after we created the strategy design, we need to create the actual controller. The controller is a sub strategy or strategy that we are going to run later on. So the controller now is this one that is called Smart Plug Controller. As you can see, these are the improvements that are in the PR from SK10RRR. What the only important thing here is that in this method that is called update processing data, we need to translate adding the indicators, defining the long and short conditions, and saying what is long and what is short, and just returning the last the features df that are going to contain all the features. So this is the controller. It's very simple. It's only like we compressed all the strategy in only like 110 lines, and can be much more lower because all these things with the prompts and everything is just like extra code when you are running Hummingbot from the client. But lately we are not using the client too much to run bots. We are using the dashboard and the backend API. So this is just extra code that probably we're going to no need in the future. But well, the thing that makes this strategy very short is that, or the only thing that important to code is this stuff, the thing that makes this possible is this base class that basically handles all the logic of checking, okay, what is the signal, how many executors I have running with the same signal. It has all that logic under here. So these implementations are very, very simple. So in this notebook, as you can see, we are importing this configuration that is here. This configuration is imported in this backtesting. And what we are actually doing here is, actually I can move this up to here. What we are doing is defining the values for the backtesting, creating the configuration of the controller that was created, and then just running the backtesting in 1 minute resolution. See that here we are hard coding this stuff, but you can go up to like 1 second with Binance the Spot. This definition of where to go to 1 second or where to go to 1 minute will be very particular to the type of strategy and the targets that we are using, right? If we are using a take profit of 5% or something like that, probably it does not make sense to go to 1 second. But if you are using take profits of 0.4%, yeah, will definitely make sense to go to a lower resolution. There is always a trade-off. A bigger resolution, faster backtesting, faster iterations. You can test a lot of things on this, very quickly. Lower resolution takes much more time, but it's more precise. But at the same time, remember that the backtesting will never be the same resolution or the same output as the live testing later on. It's just a simulation, or just it's just something that will tell you that your strategy is not going to break out, or will not work very bad, or will not, or does not have a lot of, or is not a very bad strategy. That's the point of backtesting. We'll tell you, okay, this strategy makes sense, this strategy wins a lot of times and have sometimes a drawdown, can help you describe the type of strategy that you're running, but will not ensure that the live results are going to be the same as the backtesting. It should be similar, but never the same. If not, you can fall in the trap of overfitting and thinking that changing or tweaking a parameter to make the backtesting be more profitable will be something that will be beneficial for you, and instead what you are just doing is overfitting for the past historical data some of the parameters to have a theoretical bigger PNL, but in reality when you run the strategy the conditions are not the same and you can have problems. So well, what we are saying here is that the config that we just generated is going to be backtested between June and November. So we have like a few months of backtesting. And well, we run the backtesting. The first thing that we'll do the backtesting will be download the candles in 1 minute. This can take a little bit because we are downloading like 5 months of data in 1 minute. So once we have the 1 minute candles, we're going to go and download the 1 hour candles, the hourly candles, because the indicators are computed with these 1 hour candles. So the first thing is to download the 1 second candles. The second thing is to download the candles of in 1 hour. Then we compute all the indicators or all the metrics that we just did. We merge a soft the data frames, and then we loop all over the 1 minute candles to generate the actual backtesting. So well, it's still downloading the candles. Remember that it's like 5 months, so it's expected that takes a little bit of time. So let's wait a little bit. In the meanwhile, I can answer questions on the chat if someone has some questions. But well, as you can see, these errors of close in and close connector is because we are doing the things a little bit wrong, because we are using Hummingbot, and the design of these Hummingbot components is that we have a session active of AOHTTP while the bot is running, and when it's stopped we should close the session. But here we are just using the objects as they are, and when we create the instance of the candle, it just creates an instance of the session with the AOHTTP, but we are never closing, or we are not using a context manager to do this. But well, they are just warnings. There is not going to be any problem with this, but yeah, it's something that we will need to filter at some point because it's a little bit annoying. But well, so well, the first candle is downloaded, the second candle finished already, so now it's backtesting. I know this because of these error logs. But well, now it's backtesting, and soon, once this backtesting finished, we will be able to see this backtesting result, that we're going to get this result summary and backtesting figure, so we can visualize what the backtesting did. Okay. Today I will receive my new computer, so probably for the next live stream this can be much more faster, but yeah, not yet. Should not take more than 1 more minute, so I hope. But yeah, I'm also working on improvements of the efficiency of the backtesting. We already validate that it's working well, the backtesting, and it's doing what it has to do. The next thing that I'm going to do is to improve the efficiency. I'll probably Pythonize the simulated execution or some part of the code to make that much more faster. But well, for now it's a solution that works, that can be improved in efficiency, but yeah, we need to work a little bit to make it faster. But yeah, we are going to make it by the end of the year. It should be at least 2 times faster. Well, this is still backtesting. I should also add some progress bar to see the current state of the backtesting, or what part is backtesting, because right now I don't know if it's bugged or another thing. But well, while this finished, well, I already finished. So well, we take like 4 minutes and 41 seconds to backtest like 6 months. But well, the next time that we do this should be even faster. But well, if we run this, we are going to be printing the result summary and getting the backtesting figure. So see that this is a strategy. Okay. So see that the net PNL was 2.56K. The max drawdown was $100. The total volume traded was $2 million. Yeah, $2 million. Very good sharp. Very good profit factor. Executors, take profit, stop loss. Mostly was trading stop. 3-time limits. Well, this is the P&L curve looks pretty good. There are a few drawdowns, like this one here. I think that there is a drawdown. Let's see internally like what is actually happening here. So yeah. Seems like this strategy like captures sometimes, like for example here, when there is an uptrend that is very strong, like here, it makes a ton of money, but then sometimes it's still going long and is not the right choice. And also the number of executors, well, it's not bad, but well, we'll see. This part is going long short, I think. No, it's going all long, but some of them are stop losses. Yeah, some of them are stop losses also. But well, this part that is like doing a back testing over a certain period of time, understanding like how the strategy really works and what you can do to improve the strategy, will let you like having a better sense of what values make sense or what values does not make sense for this strategy and how you can improve it. And well, later on in this part, you can get the executors. You can see the trades over time with the different P&Ls. What is interesting about this strategy is that the losses are expected. We lose like $7 every time that we miss a ball, but there are some times that we make very good profits. See that, and it's not something that happens just once. It's like, see that here we have a few of these, and there are times that we make like $23 or different values. But seems like this is a very this is like the definition of a trend following strategy. It's like it makes like more consistent losses or small losses, but all like very in the same range, and sometimes makes profits that are like bigger than the average trade. So it seems like there is a barrier between 12 and $26 of opportunity here that is very, very good. So well, here you also have the distribution of the P&L of the, well, obviously that everything that is above 0 is positive and below 0, but here, well, we can see like the distribution of the P&L of our trades. So this is like a single how to back test just with one parameter this stuff. And the next thing will be, okay, now that we can back test this, and we can like see the result of one of the strategies, how can we optimize or run like a lot of experiments with different parameters to see what makes sense or not, but instead of just attaching to one value of a configuration, run a lot of values of the configuration. So for this, what we need to do is to use this config generator. We need to change this to smart plug config generator. Well, this is the same. This is what SK1OR did. So later on, probably he can publish the branch and we can just merge it in. But I'm going to do it here in the notebook so it's easier to explain. So what we need to do here is, here instead of using this macdbb controller config, we need to import the smug plug controller config. Perfect. Here will also be smug plug config generator. Let me get all the parameters that we can change that are going to be this. So let me paste the parameters here. Oops. These are all the parameters. Let me. Okay, so the stop loss is there. Trailing stop, take profit, max executors per side also. Total amount is there. Cooldown time, time limit. Those things were there. So fast. Okay. So let's say that we would like to play around with this a little bit. I will just change a few things. Trial, suggest int. Okay, perfect. Okay, seems like these are all the things that we need. Just to explain you quickly how this works. We are using Optuna. Optuna is an hyperparameter optimization framework that lets you test different values for a certain parameter, and based on the parameter, in each of the iterations we'll try a different value for the parameter, and you will get like a result of all the trials that you generated. So in this case, what we are doing is saying, okay, suggest for this value of MACD, suggest a value between 9 and 59. For slow, suggest a value between this and this. For signal, suggest a value between this and this. Well, the same thing for all the possible variations. So here from 20 to 50, 70 or 150. So we can test like a lot of things here. There are going to be sometimes moments where this is going to fail. For example, actually I need to read the docs a little bit. Here is Optuna. Let me show you. Optuna. This is Optuna. There is one thing that I didn't check yet that is like a conditional, because for example the MACD fast cannot be bigger than the MACD slow. So these conditional things is something that I need to research on Optuna how it's done, but for now it's not a big deal because we can just the experiment will just fail and will give an error. So this is an iteration that will be discarded at some point, but will be better to put some restrictions here to avoid having this. I don't know if I can do like this, like MACD fast plus 10. I don't know if I can do it. I will try. If it works, it will be amazing because it's like an easy way to solve it. But this is something that I need to research how to do conditional suggestions. But well, the thing about this is that we need to add this class that has this method that is generate config. And here in this method generate config, what we need to return is this backtesting config object that has a config from the controller, that is this one, with all the parameters that we just suggested here. So if we run this, and then here we need to add smug plug config generator. smart plug, and let's put. First of all, let me launch the dashboard first, so we can see the dashboard. And now let's restore this. What we're going to do here finally is to say we need to backtest between this date and this date. This is actually 1 month, so let me put 2 months. Let's backtest for 2 months. So basically we're saying let's backtest this for 2 months, and then we create the instance of the optimizer, and then we just call the method optimize. We just need to give a study name. If the study exists, we'll like resume optimization over that study, and we pass the config generator, that is the class that we just created here, that sk1or did an extra file for that. That is the right way to do it when we want to automate it, but for now we can just do everything in this notebook. So if we run this cell, low must be smaller. Okay, I think that the okay, yeah, there is a problem with this thing that I mentioned that I don't know if it's going to work. That was adding this value here, because it's saying that the okay, so this would be MACD fast, and let's put MACD fast plus 10 or plus 5, I don't know, something like that. So it seems like this part works. So yeah, I think that now it should work, because the errors that I was having here was that the low value must be smaller than the high value. So well, that generates a problem. And let's put this between 1 or 0.5, because I think that is very high. The 1.5, a step of 1. Let me remove the steps here, because also we can have problems with the steps. We can have problems with the steps if it's very big. So let's remove all the steps. And the take profit and trailing stop are right values. Yeah, I think so. Let's try between 1% and 2%, and the delta ratio, perfect. Yeah, okay, let's test this now. Let's run it again. Okay, now seems like it's running. If we go in the meanwhile to this Optuna, should be in the 8080, I think. Optuna dashboard, yeah, it's here in the 8080. So see, this is the Optuna dashboard. We already have this smart plug. Probably a lot of failed experiments. Yeah, see that the first experiments that we did were all failed because of the error of the low and all that stuff that we just saw. But now it's still the same error. Well, we still have the same error. So MACD fast, medium EMA, short. I put 80 here just in case. But let me restart this and let's remove this experiment. Okay, I just killed the instance. Let's start over and see if now fails. If not, I can just come back to the original way of doing the things and have failures only when that happens. But yeah, let's see now. What is this saying? Connector name. I'm passing an argument that is not expected. No, yeah. The main problem is that here, instead of being config generator, is control config. That was like the biggest problem that I was facing. Okay, let's start over. Clear the outputs. Start over. Yeah. Now it should work. Let me see. Perfect. Okay, now seems like we are doing the right thing because it's optimizing. The problem now is that if I run, I cannot run this line until this finished. So what can I do is to go to another notebook to avoid this problem. Let's go to this one. Let's run this, Let's comment this part. And now let's run the dashboard. And now if I refresh here, now we can see a dashboard. Now we have back this smoke plug with optimizer. We have all these failed experiments, but seems like now we are running. Seems like finished. Maybe let me remove this. Let me stop this. So now it's removed. We can do it again. So let's start over. Now if I remove it, it's created again. Okay. Seems like it's failing. For some reason it's failing. Details. Okay. Or maybe I have EMA short. Okay. The problem is that, okay, the linter was telling me that something was wrong, but I wasn't making. Okay, now it should work. See. Francis says, would you ever go launch a funding rate arbitrage with cross-exchange per course? I think that is a very good idea. It's something that I also have to do, because I think that there is a lot of potential of doing funding rates plus cross-exchange. But yeah, I need to talk with Mike and probably see if we do it more in a workshop format or more in a pre-recorded course. For now we only have these courses here in Botcamp XYZ. We have two types. The first one is cohorts, that we are on a current cohort. Well, is like a 5 weeks, 6 weeks training, where we have like more like theoretical sessions with Mike, more depth sessions with me, one-on-one question answering and all that stuff. And we also have the courses that this is like pre-recorded content, that we have the intro to trading. Well, these sessions is something that you can see when you are in the cohorts only. So you can see the previous live sessions, the previous office hours. And then we have the market making course, the cross-exchange market making course. We are just going to release the directional trading course. If there is demand for something like a cross-exchange, perpetual arbitrage, and funding rate, something like that, probably a pre-recorded course can be something attractive, like doing a pre-recorded thing. But at the same time, it's something that is much more advanced, like just to do that rather than a directional strategy, because you will probably have issues with trading rules, mean order size, the exchange that you're trying to do it, check the connector. It's like it requires more like dev abilities. So I don't know if it's more suitable for a workshop or for a pre-recorded course. But well, it's a good idea, so I will discuss it with Mike later on. So well, coming back here now, as you can see, is running. So we should see some outputs here now. So if we go to this smoke plug, well, here now we have observations. So see that the number 100, the first 100 failed because, as I mentioned, it was the config was created wrong. But see that now we have two experiments with real values, the 101 and the 100. So this objective function for now is the P&L. You can change it for the Sharpe ratio, for whatever you want. And here we have the hyperparameter importance, like what is more important, the ATR, length, the multiplier, the EMAs. So what it's going to do, Optuna is going to run a bunch of these optimizations, and based on the output of the optimizations, we'll say, okay, I will continue working on this, and this value, and that is going to be used to take the decisions. So as you can see, this is the best trial. The best trial is this value. So let's say that, well, another cool thing about Optuna is that it has this report thing that shows you like based on the parameter, the objective function. So you can see, for example, the long EMA, it only tried these values of long EMA. The take profit, well, it only tried this value of take profit, but can try different ones later on. Mass executors per side, it only tried 3. So well, the idea is that when you have a bunch of experiments, later on you can decide what makes sense or not. Here, well, we don't have these other values, but also this is called high plot, so lets you analyze. Well, this does not make sense. This makes sense. So this lets you analyze like the relationship between the parameters that you are selecting. So for example, here you can say, okay, I would like to see how I get the best Sharpe ratio. So you put here, and only the trials that are under that range that you selected from the Sharpe ratio will be appearing here. So this will be like a spider thing later on, and once you filter with this stuff, you will see, okay, these parameters make sense over this period if I want to have, I don't know, more entries or more whatever. And well, there are other plots, a rank plot, well, high number of trials, well, we need more trials. But well, this is Optuna, it's amazing, free, like Hummingbot. But well, seems like it's still backtesting. So seems like the best trial for now is this one. Remember, as I mentioned, it's like, don't think that because of this makes this returns is always going to be that way. And also like enter into the details and understand the results, because it's like in this one, well, we have a lot of training stuff, but it lost maximum drawdown 920, and how much money it did? Okay, I don't know. Accuracy, it has very good accuracy. But well, what you can do later on with all this database is like you have all the experiments here. So there is another notebook that you can use that is called this one is Analyze Optimization Results. That if you run this notebook, you can run this part, get all study names. So see that when you get all the study names, you get this SmugPlug V1 with optimizer. So this line, we're not going to run it. We already have the dashboard running. So if we like to see this one, smart plug B1 with optimizer and DF, you get like all the results that we are just like backtesting, right? So let's say that we would like to get this. Let's get this, I don't know which is the best one, but yeah, let's pick this one. This one 102. So well, here we filter the ones that are positive. So here, well, we have another graph. This one does not have. Okay, this one is prepared for the MACD. No, it's not working as it is. Okay, don't worry. I can just remove this. So here you can see the scatter plot with the number of enters on the Sharpe ratio. Well, you can play around with this. And here we want to see the 102, this experiment. Let's backtest for the last 30 days. So if you run this line, where this is going to ask Optuna, give me the config of this trial because I like it. This is going to create the instance of that config, and then we are going to be able to run the backtesting for the last 30 days, as we put here, backtesting days 30. And well, this will run, and then because it's like, I always recommend, besides using the optimization, it's always important to see what is really doing this. So go check really like the results of the backtesting with your eyes. This is not going to be needed soon, because now we did a change on the optimization and we are saving all the executors in the database. So we don't need to redo the backtesting. We can just get the executors and you can visualize them. But well, up to this point of this notebook wasn't available. So well, okay, this is the result of that experiment. So well, it seems like it made also a lot of money because this big uptrend, and makes a lot of money when the uptrend comes. Here lost a little bit of money. We were in 400 and we lost like $100. But well, this is like an end-to-end. Well, this is the best part. That basically, as I mentioned before, the top repos on Hummingbot right now is, the first one is Hummingbot. The second one is Backend API because it lets you spawn Hummingbot instances. It's an API that just lets you add configurations, lets you spawn new bots, lets you do a lot of things. So the cool thing is that after you play around with the optimization, you have a lot of results and everything. What you can do is just to connect with the backend API and say, okay, these are the configurations that I like, because you are using this notebook to determine which are the best configs for you. So in this case, you create the client of the backend API, and then you can add the controller config, that this is going to be the configuration of the backtesting results. And then you have this method that is deploy script with controller, and then you pass the controllers that you would like to deploy, the image of Hummingbot that you want to use. The max global drawdown is how much money in USD the total bot can have as a drawdown. That is really interesting because it's like, let's say that your bot made $100 and suddenly it's losing a lot of money because some market condition change. You can ensure profits up to, I don't know, $50. So that is something really interesting too. And then, as you know, the new design of Hummingbot is like, you don't want to deploy just this strategy. You would like to deploy this strategy with 5 different configs of it, like getting the 5 top configs with the most different config between them. So it's like you are getting the best results, but with different configurations, so your bot is less overfitted. So the great thing is that now you can deploy the same the 5 bots or the 5 strategies in the same bot. So instead of just saying this controller config, you can pass a list of the configs that you would like to deploy, and that will be with just one click deploying 5 bots in a server. And this backend API can be in a server that you have in Tokyo or in AWS or SSD nodes or whatever you want. And from your local computer, you can just start orchestrating your strategies in different places. So well, that's all for today. I think that we covered a lot. We reviewed the strategy, we show how we do the backtesting, we created the optimization file. So I think that we did a bunch of things. I hope that you like it. And well, I think that this is one of the strategies that Smugplug think. Also, we all need to thank a lot to Smugplug because he provided this strategy. And the other thing that I would like to recognize is that he did the right thing. It's like this way of presenting me, hey, my strategy works like this, is perfect because see that I can easily understand what he wants to do. So feel free to post on Discord, tagging me or tagging Carlito, saying, okay, I have another strategy for the live stream. So if anyone else has another strategy that wants to be developed, just tag us in Discord, and hopefully we can develop it in the next week. So yeah, for now, I think that these sessions are going to be more for the community because I also understand that there is a lot of complexity in getting started with Hummingbot. That's why I started these live streams. So you can see me, how I think about the strategy, how I code the strategy, and I can just give you the code of that strategy and the community can evolve. As I mentioned, as I always tell to the people, I cannot answer questions one-on-one because there is a bunch of people trying to get some questions answered. That's why we have also Botcamp, that we get rewarded from that because Hummingbot is all free, all open source, and we don't get anything from the users. So this is more to continue growing the community and make Hummingbot the default tool for algo trading. So yeah, I hope that you like this strategy. Thanks very much, Smugplug, for the clear conditions that you define here, because if you came with a strategy and you say no, if this indicator, this, that, no, I don't like that. It's like I want I'm engineer, so I like exact conditions of how to do the things. So well, I hope that you like it. Thank you very much for being here, and well, see you next week. The idea is to make this every week. So if we do this every week, I think that we are going to go by the end of the year, end the year with I don't know, at least 5 strategies from the community. Well, I will push a code. Hi, I didn't say hi to Memento, one of the longest community members that we have. So thanks to always Memento to be present in all the things that we do. I really appreciate that. So well, I was going to say one more thing. Yeah, the next week we are going to, if someone proposes a strategy, I'm going to code that strategy. If not, if someone wants to propose, you can propose 2 things: a strategy. For now, only like directional strategies, because if I have to code a more complex strategy in 1 hour, I can do it. I can code strategies now very, very fast. Drupman can tell you, because we usually work together, so I can code a strategy very fast. But I think that I can code it in 1 hour, but you are not going to understand what I'm doing. So for now, I will just stick with directional strategies or screeners. In case that you want a screener that we can analyze a lot of markets, and based on a lot of markets I don't know, send an email, send a Discord message, do whatever communication we want. I will probably stick to something simple because then you can just re-implement the send method and use another notifier. But anything that you want, a screener. We want a screener, okay. Well, if you want, or the one that wants, next week, propose what you would like to screen, like what indicators or how or what metric we have to compute from the market that you want. And what we are going to do is the following. We're going to get all the candles in the resolution that we want for the screener. We're going to apply different metrics. This can be like summary of the data. At the end, what we need to do at the end is to have only like one metric that summarizes the market. For example, this strategy outputs a 1 or -1 of the last row. So, well, outputs that for all the rows, but we can just get the last one. So a screener can be apply the smart plug strategy and tell me all the markets that are saying long right now. We can do a screener that applies the strategies and tells you which are the ones that are saying long, the ones that are saying long, short, and whatever. So that's one option. But if someone wants to take the ball and say, okay, I will define all the conditions for the screener, we can code it next week. And I will show you also how to code the screener and how to leave it run, let it run on a Docker container that will run 24/7, and every X amount of time will get all the information and compute the metrics and send the report. So, well, that will be for the next week. Well, thank you very much. I hope that you like it. Well, see you next Friday. Yeah. Bye bye.